What is up, YouTube team? How is everybody doing? Markets are down. Everyone's scared. We got big controversy with the war, but there's still opportunities. We're still finding winners, and I'm looking to make some money from today to tomorrow. So let's see what we got, and let's see if we could figure out a winner here. How's everybody doing on YouTube Live as well as on social media? Hope you guys are having a great day. So I usually join with my team on live on the Simpler Trading website, simplertrading.com, under the Stock Mavericks. So I have my Stock Maverick community. We go live every single day, twice a day. And I was just live 30 minutes or about like 5 minutes so far, 10 minutes. And we've been talking about what I do like for possible overnight plays. If you're new and you're not familiar with what I do, I'm always looking to try to buy a stock, usually 2:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern, and then I try to sell it within that next morning, usually by 11 a.m. So that's what I'm going to be looking to do here every single day at 3 o'clock. Though it's not like I'm just looking and buying. I usually create a watch list and I eye down what stocks have given me some possibilities, and that's what we're going to do right now. So let's try to find the 5 that I like. Right now, there's definitely 4 with these 4, and it's all OTC stocks, which for me, I've been playing OTC stocks now for 10 years. And on an ugly day like today, sometimes it's good to look at OTCs because it doesn't really trend with the market too much. A lot of the times, people look at the overall market, they see that it's having a terrible day, and they can't really make anything out of it. Sometimes if you dig into other places, and I've now been playing OTCs, like I said, since 2015. So I am familiar with how they move. And usually I like them when the markets are ugly. So right now we got ourselves the 5 stocks. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create this watch list together, and then I'm going to try to make some money off of one of these 5. I do have a limit set for a light volume one. The rest of these do have over $1 million in volume, and that's usually what I like. So I'll zoom into them as we talk about them, but the first one we'll talk about is NLST. And I'm going to talk about the stock, then I'm going to talk about the pattern that I like, that usually I have seen in my past history profit from. And this comes from past history of 10 years of data. So I've done Excel sheets. I also chart every single one of my trades every single day. And on Wednesdays, we review my week every single week. But on Profit, you can go back and see all the trades from 2015 and crossing over 518,000 just recently. This is what I do. The stock, the pattern, and then what kind of stock it is. I always like to do key resistance and support spots because those are going to show where I usually to get out of the stock, and that's at the daily support level. And then the resistance is what I want to see the stock break above. So the rules to this watch list is we look for the support to hold and the resistance to break above. And then I'm going to talk about 5 stocks. So let's see what 5 we got here. We're starting with NLST. It's a 52-week breakout. It's an OTC penny stock that is now not a penny stock anymore, but nice breakout we got there. It's been holding 170, it looks like, all day. So that'll be the support. Or what has it been holding? Like 177. So we would use that area as cut. And the idea is you want to get in as close to that area as possible if you do like this one. Looking for a follow-up day. It does trend pretty nicely. So you can see this stock usually does trend up when it does make 52-week highs. We've also have a huge gap down here, so we got to be aware of that. But up 10% right now on the day. No news. So that is the first one we will put on there. Number 2 that I'm going to do is ABXXF. It looks like it's lighter volume. It's a stock that we've actually played before and we've gapped up before. So as long as it holds into the close, I do like the opportunity of this first green day / month breakout that we got. It's an OTC stock. It's higher priced, but it has gapped up in the past. So that's all we usually like to see. If the stock can pass gap up, that's what you want to know. And if you go back to the long-term levels, that's how I know if the stock's gapped up. So I go back to the 1 year, 1 day chart, and most of the days that it has a big green day, there's a follow-up that comes right after it. So that's what we would be looking for. All right, let's do the other three. What else do we got on this list that I like? There was actually an oil stock. So right now, as the markets come down, oil and energy stocks start to become a high watcher and high commodities. So there's actually an oil and energy stock that we're going to put on here. Let's do one listed oil stock, and the listed one I like is EONR. It's got a former runner. It just recently ran with all this war news going on. And now we're holding 90 cents. We're breaking back above $1. So you'd have to use $1 as cut. And you're just looking at for it to possibly make that next leg up back above 109 and hopefully break higher than that. So let's get this listed energy stock on there, as energy stocks have definitely been in the limelight lately with all the war news happening. We're also going to do one oil stock as well. Oil's been pretty tough, honestly. Even though the sector's been pretty hot, in my opinion, it's actually been pretty tough to take advantage of. Most of it is news related. So that's why it's a little harder for me to go after stuff like this, because usually if a news article happens overnight, it'll just sway these stocks. You don't even have a chance at it. So a little more riskier, but the energy stock there. And then we have slower moving OTC oil stock. And this stock comes right from my weekly watch list. So every Monday, I like to analyze the week. I like to see how I could take advantage of something. And I do that through the weekly watch list. And Xenon for a first green day was on there. I was looking for it to either panic to 20 cents or create a first green day. At it, it created that first green day yesterday. It didn't get to 20, and then it completely bounced. Now looking forward to follow up again. It has earnings next week, so sometimes when you anticipate earnings, it could end up following up. Keep an eye on that. But that'll be the next one that we're going to throw on here. I like to make a morning watch list and overnight watch list. So every day I go live, I have two watch lists that I usually relate to. Tomorrow morning, we have some morning momentum plays that I'll be keeping my eye on. And those are big possibilities. Usually you don't need to risk a lot. You usually could go pretty light in those. Win large percent. The last time we watched ran up 50%. And then the last one we're going to put on there. So I actually mainly are doing OTCs, only one listed one. I could put RBNE, NAC, NAK is another listed one, but I decided to go with EONR for energy. But all of these are energy ones. RBNA is leading the way. So this is really the main reason why also energy is running. We have a huge runner right now. Usually a big runner causes other ones to keep going. So we got to keep our eyes on RBNE. It doesn't have good history of follow-ups. But if you do look at the news, it's got some good news. It says they bought back 100 million shares. It's always nice to see companies buying back shares. That means they're interested. RBNE. So that is the kind of energy leader. I could put that one on the overnight watchers, but instead I'm going to kind of go with, let's see. Uh, So I always like to put 5. Sometimes I won't put 5, but today I think there is enough to put 5. I'll do this light volume one. I've had a limit in, but since it's light volume, I don't like to go too crazy with it. So we have a limit in there. Technically this is called a 52-week breakout, which means the stock is breaking out of a point that it hasn't done in 52 week, aka 1 year. And when that happens, a lot of people would say, why would you want to buy all the way up there? And yeah, it is a bit more risky to buy up there. But I'm not looking to play this stock forever. I'm just looking usually one day to the next. That's mainly what I'm doing. That's what my strategy consists of. It's what works out. It's what's worked out for me in the past. So for this one, we got an OTC energy stock. As energy continues to run, I got another energy. So 2 energy stocks, I forgot to say OTC oil stock. So 1 oil stock. So we're still sticking with the war related, stocks. Usually when you're looking for war related stuff, I always say the things that you want to see, if you want to just write it down, but the things that you always want to look at are defense, drone, missile, robotic, and government. And I got a stock that is amazing right now that has 2 different things in one. We'll talk about that in a second. That'll be my little bonus stock we're going to talk about. I'm actually going to make a YouTube video about that one specific stock, but we'll talk about that in a second. First, let's go over the 5 that we like. NLST number 1, ABXXF. So let's put them side by side. Hold on one second. All right, so we'll start with NLST. This one's actually holding pretty nicely. I do think I could wait for dips here. I'm not really going to chase it. Unless it's the last 30 minutes of the day, I usually get a little more aggressive. But we still have 45 minutes left. We got enough time to let things settle. So we'll see what happens there and see if we can take advantage of that movement towards the end of the day. You got some pretty clear cut of 177 and 175. So both those areas are nice support levels. So you want to buy as close to that as possible. The next one is a lighter volume daily chart, but if you look at the actual dollar volume, we're over 1 million. This one keeps holding that 30 spot. I want to just make sure it can hold it, so I'm not trying to take advantage just yet. But if it holds 29 into the close, I'd be looking for a gap up. And hopefully we can push back above 31. There's a lot of gap ups in this stock, and that's what you want to see in a stock. Can the stock follow up? If it can, usually I like to try to take advantage of it. So we'll see if it keeps holding that 30 into the close here, but I'm starting to like it more and more as we get later into the day. The next one is a listed energy stock. It's actually dipping right now. Let's see if it keeps holding one. One is that key support. And with RBNE going crazy, I feel like this is a good one to watch. It's gapped up. We've gapped up here. So can we do another gap up? Very news oriented with oil and energy. So, if any type of war related news happens overnight, these will definitely be moving. The last 3 stocks. The next 2 are OTC. One's oil, one's energy. Xenog is oil related. It's got that first green day to second green day. I thought it was going to break out when oil was breaking out, but I guess it already had a crazy run from 16 cents to 40 cents this year. Now it created this one green day and it followed up. Usually when the stock flows, it flows. And I feel like it's in a flow state. It keeps flowing up. So we'll see if that continues to make its flow up. And then the last one that we got here is the lighter volume, which it actually is ticking up right now. We'll see if it can actually dip for us. But I've had a limit at 40 for a while. 402. It's trying to tick its way up. It looks like there's some buyers that are coming in, but the volume is very, very light. And actually, let me put that on here. Usually I like over $1 million in dollar volume, and this one doesn't even have that. So you have to be careful. But if a stock is in a sector and it's lining up, I still like to usually go after it as long as you have a risk spot. So the risk spot would be what? The breakout. And if you zoom out to it, what do we got? You have the risk spot that's also the breakout. So when the breakout's also the risk spot, that's really good. So we'll see what we can get. I'm probably going to put some more limits in here. Let's see what we got. Let me put a couple more limits in for this one. I like the chances of this gapping up, but I want to catch it closer to 40. And you can see there's a big seller at 42. So I think we will be able to catch it closer to 40. We'll put a couple more limits in and we'll get this thing loaded up here. Hopefully, if it comes down to us. But those are the 5 stocks that we got here. Let's see if there's any other possibilities out there. There's 2 morning watchers that I think that we need to really pay attention to. So let me talk about those as well. So I always like to create a morning watch list as well. And on that morning watch list, most of my buys, I would say about 80% come in the afternoon. But there is a group that comes in the morning. And there's 2 stocks that are lining up, URGO, and we'll go over those in a second, and GMEX. And GMEX is a robotic stock. Also $1 hold. So if you don't like anything in the afternoon, there's always probably going to be some morning stuff. But let's dive in. We'll get into the morning stuff in a little bit. I'll talk about those plays because we actually started to really chart down and excel all of those plays. So we can actually chart those plays and you can actually see exactly what we're talking about here. But the last 2 really worked out. BIAF ended up spiking, what was it, a total of 55% when it worked out. HCWB, I got to fill the percentages out. But I know it ended up spiking a total of like 30% at one point. But I gotta fill those out. So I can do that when I start charting my trades. But big opportunities with that morning momentum play, and you don't usually need a lot of money to make money when it comes to those plays. You know, growing a small account is really what you can do with those plays, and then it starts small, you hit 1 or 2, and you keep your losses very minimal, and you'll be surprised at what can add up there. If you go back to the profit lead, that's really what most of my chart is. It's just making sure losses stay tight, and then as big sector and big win momentum happens, you run into these waves that really push you ahead. You just got to make sure you're staying alive to catch those waves. I mean, altogether, it's only a 59% win ratio, so not even winning 60% of the time, but still able to profit over 500K in profit so far, and that all comes from that. Does anybody have any other tickers or questions they got? Let me see. Let's see what else we got here, guys. Sorry for not looking earlier. No, we don't have too much. What up, Himony? What up, Johnny? What up, John? Nice to see you guys today. What up, Joe? Joe, I like that you're bringing up. Joe brought up that QNTM yesterday. He's not in it, but it's nice to see that he's able to find, 45% runners before they happen after that first green day. That's what it's all about. So always bring up some tickers. This EONR is holding 102 one more time. It most likely will follow RBNE. You have another one, USEG, that's another energy stock. There's a group of these energy stocks that are all kind of holding here. So I think RBNE is going to lead the way, but RBNE keeps holding $2. All right, NLST is getting another dip again. We'll see if it comes back down. Usually, if you want that one, you want to catch it into a dip, and sometimes it catches a nice little dip into the end of the day. I've seen this one before. As long as it holds, though, that's good. Same with this ABXXF. I've also seen that one just dip at the end of the day. So I'd rather catch dips there. I'm not in any rush to enter anything right now. This week has been that kind of week. Markets have been up, down, up, down. I guess we have a 5-day ceasefire right now. Oh, let's go, Joe. What else you got? You just brought up another one. Let's check it out. FEED. Yesterday, we ended up catching HGRAF pretty nicely at the end of the day. It took a late day dip. So the reason why I like to try to catch dips is HGRAF would be a perfect example of that. And if you pull it up, yesterday it was creating a first green day. It comes from the weekly watch list. I was watching this closely, and it was holding this 540 spot. Once it dipped and held that 540 again, we got in right here, which was peer perfect. And it ended up following up strong, which is exactly what we look for. So we were up $100 or so going into the close, a little more than 100. And then it gapped perfectly and kept pushing. So we sold into the gap right here, but you could have literally held for a little bit longer. It's exactly what you look for a strong close. And altogether, if we really would have held, we had a total of over 15%. Ideally, I try to make 10% plus every night or overnight. That's the goal. 15% really get your account growing. Usually, if it's sector momentum, I'll try to look for a little more. Let's go. You scalp some RBNE, Joe. What else do we got? We got some more tickers coming up. PAVS just had an offering. I did see that one. Usually, when you have that offering, I take it off my radar. This was a huge runner earlier, but with an offering, I always wonder why these really crappy stocks don't do it. Oil stock just came right back down. The offering price was 35 and it just came right back to that spot. So if you're not too familiar with offerings, you can read it inside the news. And usually a lot of times they'll say it, but right back to that 35-cent spot. Let's see if it bounces. I won't even trust stuff like that. And LST actually has a nice buyer, but 184 it hasn't been able to push in a while. Let's see if it's able to do that. I do like what I'm seeing though out of it, but 184 has just been that sign of rejection here. Xenog new highs, or at least testing highs. Trying to make its curl. We're still not even 30 minutes left in the day, so I'm trying to be a little more patient and see if these stocks could come down to a dip spot for us. So you're going to take that away. So this wall of 184, the last time it passed it, it came right back down. So a little harder for me to buy up here. I gotta wait. I'm not gonna reach after this. And no one's forcing you, like no one's holding your hand and telling you that you have to do this. It's up to you what you want to play. That's the beautiful thing about stock trading. You are your own boss. It's way better, in my opinion, than just waking up and dressing up in a suit and tie or whatever you have to get ready for work in. Strapping up and then going to work. But this is also a great alternative where if you do love what you do and you find stuff that you really like out there, honestly, you should follow your passion and you should make some money, especially if you're enjoying it. But there's always ways to make more and add on top of your income, do different things. So this is one that's been working really well for me. If you guys have other ones out there, let me know. When I was growing up, that's all I was trying to do. Oh, looks like him and he's got another one. ORBS. Up 25%. What kind of stock is this? It's a Bitcoin stock. Bitcoin's actually down today. So harder for me to trust a Bitcoin stock when it's down. But yeah, I can see what you're looking at there. I could see what you are eyeing down there. But I'm going to stick with what we got here. So we're getting closer to that 30 minutes left. I'm always a fan of getting a little later here. I like the movement of ABXXF. It keeps holding, but it can turn at any moment, so we're going to keep waiting. This breakout DMEHF, as light as it is, it keeps holding 42. And it doesn't want to come down to our fill spot. I don't usually move my bids up, in my opinion, till a little later. I'd say the last 15 minutes, 30 minutes or so. This PAVS is trying to bounce off that 35 cents offering spot. Anybody that was short this stock ended up really getting pretty lucky there. Going from high days right back down to lows. What a move. Okay, so if you don't like anything too, while we let these settle and see if we can get anything here, I have my one limit in for this DMEHF down here by the 40s, and ABXXF, I just want to make sure it can hold, but I do like it. Starting to become a fan of it just for a gap up. The longer it holds, the more I do think it's going to gap up. NLST, I want to dip instead. So we'll keep an eye there. But there is two that I do like right now for tomorrow morning. UGRO and GMX. We'll keep our eyes on them for a possible big push here. So let's pull it up. UGRO had a huge day yesterday, and then it ended up pushing down today. For the morning momentum play, I usually set some key lines up, and we look for them to curl back above those key lines. There's usually 4 lines that I set up here, and those lines are all recorded on our Excel sheets. And like I said, the last time with BIAF, it went up 55% with the lines in place from 150 pretty much to 250. And if you look at BIF now, it just kept spiking. Not saying I would ever hold on to it anymore, but it ended up hitting $5 on Friday. And this is the day that we're talking about with the lines that we have in. So from 160, it was able to go to $3 overnight. The potential on that and to grow your account with that, really, really nice way of growing your account right there. And that happens in all different directions. It just doesn't, mainly I look for huge 100% runners, but every once in a while, this is emotion based. If you get a small cap stock that runs enough and then holds for a day, that squeeze pattern that we're looking at happens as well. So BIF, nice move. UGRO will be the first one we look at. And this one already had a huge day yesterday coming into today. And then we have GMEX, which was a robotic stock, but this one is actually different style of robotic. And I'm not as big of a fan because it came back down. I wanted this one to hold $1, so I'm not as big of a fan of this one. I'm more of a fan of that other one. But we'll still keep our eyes on it. I don't usually love when these stocks spike because I look for like a 40-50% spike. And then if they do come back down below, back to where they originally started, which this one pretty much did, it's almost right back to like the levels. Right, so we're still watching our levels, but those two are ones that we can have our eyes on tomorrow. Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were some nice watchers from last week that ended up pulling off a nice move. I also wanted to possibly put this as a short if it gets another big spike, but now it's kind of starting to hold. Bouncing from 360 up now to 560. So it doesn't look like a huge bounce, but that was a pretty ugly panic last week. And it ended up bouncing really nicely from there. All right, let's see what we got now. Let's go back to our plays and see what else we got. It's still lining up. They're still just sitting there, which is a positive. The longer that they sit there, the more chance. I do like them for a possibility overnight. All right, so let's patiently wait here a little bit and let's try to snipe something. All right, so we'll see. It looks like Xenog, DMEHF, all testing highs right now. I'm gonna try some of this ABXXF out. This Charlie XCII out. And then DMEHF, I'm still waiting. I'll probably add some into a dip here if we get any more dippage. Here we go. Let's get the sell. Let's get the push down. Nice. So it's pushing down a little bit. Let's see if it fills us. Still have 25 minutes left in the day. But this is usually when I like to start to get a little more aggressive into getting things. All right, I'm still watching. I moved my bid up slightly, but not much. I'm trying to get too crazy here. If we do get into the last 10, 15 minutes, that's usually when I'm just going to go for it. But I'm trying to mainly get filled in on a dip because usually I say dips are discounts. Got to change it up a little bit and treat the dips as discounts. So chain your mentality up, train the brain, which is hard to do. Comes to all different aspects of life. But usually when you do it on the outside perspective of life, it is easier to do it inside of trading. So like today, I'll be heading to Orange Theory after, and you just got to train yourself to say yes, even when you don't want to, no matter what kind of day you got. All right, so we got 100 shares at 31 now of ABXXF. That is us that just got filled. That'll be our starters there. I want to see if there's any other movement or if it dips again. I'll try to get filled a little more closer to 30. This DMHEF I'm trying to get filled as well. So not quite coming down to my spot though. We'll see what happens there. We got 20 minutes left here, and I might have to move my bid up slightly. We're not getting filled. Xenog came back down, but I'm not going to go after Xenog for now. It's a second green day, so I'm not as interested in that one. RBNE keeps holding, so this will be good for an interesting pop. So let's see if ABXXF could get any type of push here. It's trying. A little spread, but a little light volume one. Last time this fell out on us late in the day, so we need to get it back. We ended up winning just a little bit, but let's see if we can get that push here. Trying to get more filled as well, but I don't want to chase it up here. I'd rather let it come down to me. What's our offering? PAVS doing stock right to that offering spot. It's just holding. NLST keeps holding this 184, so it's a good one to watch, but I don't want to chase it at 184 just yet. Maybe at the last seconds. And then the QQQ and SPY are both red on the day still. Ugly days, even though we had a really nice start to the week last week. DMHEF just got a huge buyer. So I want to move in front of that guy. So let's see if we can get filled in front of him. See what we got. But this is what I mean by big buyer. So if you watch OTCs, level 2s are usually a little easier to read. And you can see when big buyers and sellers come in. There's a huge buyer that just popped in at 41. So someone likes that energy stock. RBNE keeps holding. This EONR is not a bad watcher at the end of the day here. I'm going to let this hold a little longer before I add more. The other listed energy stock, NAK, is up 10%. It's holding its highs now. Let's see. Let's see. Give me a fill. I'm going to keep UGRO pulled up so we can keep an eye on that one. Make sure it doesn't do anything too crazy after hours. But as long as we can hold that low a day and we can pop back above VWAP, that's usually good signs for tomorrow. So those are key levels that we'll be watching. I'll have them on my morning watch list. RBNE is trying to curl a little bit, so we'll see if all the rest of them do. God damn it. There is that DMEHF curl. It looks like there's a buyer that's drifting it. I'm still going to keep my limit in, but somebody's driving that thing up. Not going to chase it at highs. There will be better opportunities, and tomorrow we could have one here with the morning momentum plays. So as strong as these energy stocks are closing, it's one news article with energy and oil that really shifts things. The MEGF testing new highs. All right, we got the last quarter, 15 minutes left of Power Hour. This is usually when I'm going to get a little more interesting. So far, we only have those shares of ABXXF at 31. I'm going to try to get some more soon. NLST, I'm looking for a dip. As much as you want to buy it up here, it can't break 184 for some reason. And then this DMHEF is lighter volume. Some sort of buyer came in, but I still want to get caught on a dip. Try not to chase it up here. I ride my one wheel every day, and yesterday I actually hit a flat tire. I know, didn't think I could do that on the one wheel, but yes, if you hit a glass, you will pop it. I was pretty upset. I thought I was gonna have to fix it, but it ended up fix a flat. It does miracles, and it actually works for that too. So I'm excited to get back on it here in about 30 minutes or so after the market. NLST continuing to hold. They're all continuing to hold besides Xenog. The ones, EONR, we could go after too if you like the energy sector. Just stick to that $1 cut. See if anything crazy happens after hours. It's also a possibility. It's technically been holding this 102 spot pretty nicely. DMEHF, very weird spread now. But no buyers are going through as of right now. I think just energy's closing strong here to close out the day. I always like to coin myself a stock sniper because I always like to pinpoint key levels. So key spots is usually what I like to pinpoint to go after. And that's why I try to wait until I see those key levels come up. And that's kind of what I'm doing with this NLST and AVXXF, but I mean in DMEHF. Chris, I get you, man. As a sniper, that's tough, but that's all right. That's part of the game. It's part of the process. For those of you guys that can't read on YouTube Live, he said, I've been tattooing all power hour, missed so many entries. Chris actually tattoos over in Atlanta, and he also is trading every day. Pretty cool. So just like I was talking about, adding on top of your income too is as well an opportunity. We got 10 minutes left. This is when I say, let's see if we can get the fourth quarter pushes. At the end of the day, we just want to make sure these stocks hold. So that's really what you're looking for if you are in something. You want to make sure they hold, but if they get that end of the day close, that usually brings some more confidence. Like yesterday, we had that HGRAF that we caught down here on the dip, and then ended up closing all the way up here at highs, and then it gapped. So that's the ideal situation, looking for the strong closes. That's why this DMHEF with the seller right here is pretty nice. But let's see, it didn't push buy, it didn't push high a day, even though it had a buyer there. NLST is so interesting. It just has such a big wall, I guess, at 184. Or maybe it just can't get the volume today. Keeps me a little bit hesitant away from that one as well. The War Penny Stock, Hub C, HUBC, trying to return back to highs. This one is creating a first green day. A little too risky for me just because how much dilution has happened in that stock. And the spread's just a little too much. But this and PRZO are old running war stocks. And they're Israeli based stocks too. Does anybody have any questions on YouTube? What do we got? Oh yeah, I could put the symbols in the chat. My bad. I'll always do that. I know it's a little smaller, and I have the watch list over. So there they are. Got you, Toby. Let's go, Ken. Much love. Appreciate having you. If you want to come check us out, it's a little bit cheaper. I think we have a monthly trial right now going on for only $7. Pretty cheap. $7 is nothing. It's 1 cup of coffee. And if you don't drink coffee, it's 2 cups of Celsius. All right, ABXXF's dipping a little bit below our first entry spot. We'll see if we can add some more before the close. Usually I like to buy in the last 5 minutes now. This DMHEF is creeping up. It technically held that 42, so we'll see if it gets any type of gap up to close out. But nice move. It actually is creeping up into highs here. Into the close. Had to move my bid up, but nice to see. I'm not going to chase all the way at 43 here. That's how I feel about NLST. That's why with ABXXF, I'm watching that one possibly to add some more for a gap up. But you want to make sure that can hold as well. I don't know. NLST not ticking is going to make me stay away from it. We got 5 minutes left. NLST constantly not making a move, but sitting there is wild. But it's a brick wall, as you can see. DMHEF has some sort of buyer that's lifting that thing up here. We have 5 minutes left. I'm going to see if I can get some last minute ads in this ABXXF if it gets one more dip to 30. It is coming down slightly here. All right. Might be time to start swinging. Every day is different, and some days I'm definitely not this patient. The markets have kind of just let me be a little more patient lately. There's not as much opportunity, so usually I try to really be patient to the right ones. You can see this RBNE dipping, so that'll be a good watcher for energy stocks in the close. And you can see NLST officially couldn't break 182, so I'll be watching that more tomorrow. Mainly just going to really watch this ABXXF, see if we can definitely close down here, and then possibly get a quick little bounce into the close. If not, I'm going to be looking to get just a little more fills here towards the bottom. What a close by DMHEF. It actually came all the way to 4399. So if you caught that dip by at 40, that's actually a 10% run randomly at the end of the day there. Nice move. This ABXXF still holding into the close here. I just bought some more down here at 3060. So getting some more. And yeah, DMHEF, definitely nice move off that 40 spot. It's a lighter volume one, but definitely nice move. We got 2 minutes left. Two-minute warning. It is an energy stock, so you're definitely watching more energy related if you do take that. RBNE, you can watch with EONR. And honestly, having a little bit of cash overnight's not a bad idea, especially because those morning momentum plays possibly tomorrow. All right, we got 1 minute left. NLST couldn't break. DMHEF, nice close. And then we just got a little more filled at the way end of the day there at 30 since I had my limit in. So I'll take it. We'll get a little more into the close, looking for mainly the gap up. That's the goal there. It's had some gap ups in the past. It's been able to run. So $30, we got a little more filled. We actually got 80 more. So altogether, it's like a 30-70, or no, it's probably 30-60 average, 30-50 average. So slightly down, but that's okay. We'll stick to the cut of 29 and we'll see if we can get that gap up. A lot of the times when the stock does have the day that it does, it is able to follow up. So that is what we'll be looking for, guys. Great work today. Let's keep taking it. I always like to say one day and one trade at a time. For those of you guys on YouTube, if you liked what you saw, keep an eye on RBNE, EONR, and all the other energy ones out there. But I'm live twice a day in the Simpler Trading Room under Stock Mavericks. Come check us out. We're talking, we're chatting, we're making money. Much love to the YouTube team and the social media team. Thanks for hanging out with me this power hour. And we'll see you next Tuesday or in the chat room. All right, guys. Peace.